In topic B, what we're going to be looking at are some different things we can do with tables. The first thing we're going to look at is custom fields. So if you go up to Project tab, click on Custom Fields. This dialog box appears. So let's take a look at what's in this dialog box. There's going to be an activity that deals with this dialog box quite a bit. So I'm not going to spend much time. But the things I want to point out, though, is that field, you got task, resource, you got a drop-down menu that says text. Click on that, you can see that you can do different things with it, different types of things. So what you get then is you get these texts, right? You got 30 of these lines of text. And this basically customizes it so it speaks your language or whatever the project is. You can rename this, you can delete those texts, you can import fields. Again, we're going to be playing with the activity. Email me if you have any questions after the activity. And then we got custom attributes. You got none. You got the lookup if you want to look up certain things, parameters, formula. Again, we're going to do this in the activity. We're also going to spend some time with it next in the next section. And you can do some calculations for group summary rows. I don't want to spend too much time with this. Unless you're good at writing formulas for in Excel and doing macros and things like that, we're probably not going to use that this much. So I'm not going to spend much time on it, but it has that capability within Project. Again, we can do some more calculations, and we'll spend some time with that in the next section and in the activity, but this is where the field is. If you're not very good with that kind of stuff, understanding the formulas, this is not going to be very useful for you. So I'm just going to fly over it kind of. There are a couple ways to display our values. One is just raw data. The other one is these graphical indicators. And you remember in the Gantt chart, you had like those Burning Man when I was over allocated on resources. Well, I can do the same thing for anything I want, these calculated values. So when I get into this, I can click on this and I can specify certain conditions. And if those conditions are met, I can pick out an icon that I want displayed in my Gantt chart, like the Burning Man, happy faces, sad faces, and I'll show you an example later in the PowerPoint. This is out of the book. This is just the section of the dialog box and tells you what they do, the options and the functions. Honestly, it's not very useful, but since it's there, I'll show it to you. These are the field and custom attributes. This is the calculation for task and group summary rows, calculation for assignment rows, and how to display the values. So field lookup tables, let's talk a bit about that. We've got our predefined values. You can either create these or import them. It allows only the values, lookup values you specify. So what that does, it prevents bogus entries. So instead of going into project, I'm just going to pull this one up off the web. Here it's asking me for a date. So when I click on that pop-up window, I can only enter a real date, sometime in December. So I can't enter December 52nd, right? So that's what it does. It prevents bogus entries. And you can do the same thing in project, and you do it through this field. Let's do a quick editing of the table dialog box. So you can see here, I've got the dialog box open. I'm just going to highlight text 1. Then I'm just going to click the lookup button down below. And when I do, I get this box, edit lookup table for text 1. Remember, I specified text 1. Now it's saying, okay, you told me you want to do it in the lookup table. Now tell me what you want me to put in there. So then I just type in the different values I want. So I can look up S, M, L, or XL. I've got a brief description of what each one is. I've got a row number. So when I go to this lookup table, I have to specify I'm looking for L, M, XL. I can't look up something like, say, blue. It has to be one of these values. A formula is where you take numbers or dates or whatever, and you manipulate it mathematically to create some new information, useful information. For example, let's say you want to know how many days left on a project. Project won't calculate that for you. You got to tell it you want to do it, and you do that through creating your own formula. So the way you get to that is you click on the formula button here. And when you do, this is the dialog box that pops up. Again, we're working with text 1, right? In the book, they renamed this to days left, and it says equal to. So it says, okay, what kind of formula do you want to put in there? Now what I've done is I've gone back and I changed text 1, changed the name to days left. So then I clicked on the formula. So it says days left and then equals, and this is a formula for determining the how many days are left. I'm not going to spend much time with this unless you're really good at writing macros in Microsoft products. You're not going to get good at this. I'm not very good at it. And then when you click OK, what will happen then is project will calculate the days left, right? So you have this custom field now. We can always check on how many days left we have on the project just by going into one of our custom fields and looking at our days left text. Okay, I've renamed task 2 to cost 1. I'm going to set up a cost alert. I'm going to use a graphical indicator. So I'm just going to click on this box down here. And when I'm clicking these boxes, right, there's actually a pop-up, and is greater than is in that list, is less than is in that list. The value is the baseline cost, and we specified that way back in the course. So it's going to check our value compared to the baseline cost, and if we over budget, then it's going to give us a sad face, red sad face. If it's less than, it's going to give us a green happy face. And these are just little indicators that we see on the Gantt chart. Okay, we're going to work with this a bit. So in my custom fields dialog box, remember we go project, custom fields, click on it and this will open up. I'm going to make sure I check the resource radio button. I'm going to click the drop down arrow on the type. And I want to highlight text. Then I'm going to come down and go to the rename section of text 1. Then when I click on the rename button, this window pops up. I type in grant criteria and just hit OK, and we're done with it. Okay, so we can see that text 1 is now grant criteria. So then I'm just going to click on lookup. We're going to change the custom field into a lookup table. So I'm just going to click on lookup. Then I'm just going to edit this, right? In row 1, I want to put W. That stands for woman owned. M, that stands for minority owned. V stands for veteran owned. And greater than 1, more than one of those criteria. Once I have that entered into the table, I'm just going to hit close. We now have a lookup table for grant criteria. Let's work a little bit with the graphical indicator. So I go down to graphical indicators, hit that button. Now make sure we're still working with grant criteria. So what I'm going to do is go into the test, go to the equals in the drop-down menu. I'm actually going to type in the W, but then I go to the image and I'm going to use the drop-down menu and put in that half-filled circle. Do the same thing with the other criteria and put in the images that you see here, the circle filled at the top, circle filled on the side, and the full circle. Now what we've done now is if we go to the Gantt chart and we see one of these symbols, the icons pop up, we know what that means. We set that. Then just click OK. Okay, let's work a bit with the custom formula field, just a quick demonstration. So I'm in the task, in the custom fields dialog box. I'm in the task. I'm going to pull down text. I'm going to put down number for text 1. I'm going to rename this line, this number 1, to days left. Just rename it, days left. Verify that the number 1 is now days left. Then click on the formula bar. In the pop-up, click on day time. And then in the new pop-up, you want to click on days diff. And there's an automatic formula in there. So date 1, we want to put that in. So highlight date 1 with the mouse. Click the function button. And then date time, you'll see there's one called now. Click on that. Verify that date 1 is now. Then go down to the field button. Click on it. There's one called date will pop up. And you want to go to finish. Click on that. Now here's the deal. There's some things that are interval and some other stuff. You're gonna have to clean up that form a little bit. So I changed interval to quotation mark D, quotation mark, and then got rid of everything after I finished, left just the parentheses. You're gonna have to do that also. Then click OK. And this is where we are now. Days left, and all the information we put in is in project now. Okay, so we go back to this view again, chart view. Okay, we're going to add grant criteria to our resource sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resource sheet, go down to resource sheet, click on that. Then I'm going to right click on the material column, right click on your mouse, and this should pop up. I'm going to go to insert column. And then I'm just going to scroll down. You should see the grant criteria, the one that we edited earlier. Click on that, and you should see a new column that says grant criteria. You can actually see the symbols pop up also. Okay, so we want to add days left to our Gantt chart. So get back to the Gantt chart view, go to the predecessors, and just right-click your mouse button. In the pop-up menu, we're going to click on days left. And when we do, we get this new column. It's got the days left. Now we're going to get some funky numbers because remember our project's 2016, and we're way beyond that year. So it's going to have some funny numbers in it. But the column's there, and the calculation has been done. And after you get that done, save your file.